Don't let me down. Let's see the next amazing thing.
Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome back to our baking session with Carl, NLTG's Master Baker. Today we're going to be making some chocolate fondants or melting chocolate pudding, whatever you want to call it. It is a dessert that has been requested today by the birthday girl, who is my beautiful wife. It's her birthday today. We're having a bit of a celebration, so she wants some chocolate fondants. So that's what we're going to make. I'll talk you through the ingredients, but the first thing I'm going to do, the first two ingredients, basically 200 grams of butter, 200 grams of the best chocolate you can get. The better the chocolate, the better it is. So when we talk about better chocolate, it's about the cocoa butter content in it. So something like an 85% cocoa butter content is brilliant. But if you don't like it too bitter, you can come down. You can see these in supermarkets, in the shops. You can look at them, you can see them and say, right, I want something that's quite mild, or we like it quite bitter. So I've got a nice 85% cocoa butter there. What I've done, I've put it onto a pan of just simmering water. It's just rolling bubbles there. What we don't want is the water to get mixed in with the chocolate, because it sets it basically. It's not good. So we're just keeping it separate, and when I take that off, what we're doing now, we're going to give it about 5-10 minutes just to start melting down and coming together. But one of the most important things about this are the actual tins, the moulds, whatever you want to use to bake them in. Now we've got some little, as you can see, tin moulds there. You can buy foil moulds, very similar, so a bit like a steak pudding. So if you had a steak pudding at the chippy, so one of those foil tins are absolutely ideal for it. What I've done before is I have this one, there's a couple here, I've started doing it. I've got some melted butter, I've just melted it in the microwave, you can do it on a pan if you want to. And I've just dipped it in and just brushed around it, around the bottom and up the sides. Now I've done that once on them all. I've put it into the fridge so it sets up, and I'm doing it a second time. Because the last thing you want to do is make a beautiful fondant and then it sticks in your tin. So 2 coats of butter. You can use margarine if you want, but butter's usually the best. And then just to put some cocoa powder into it, just to dust it around the edges so it really does fall away. Tip some cocoa powder into your first one, like so, and just start turning it round so it starts coating the side. Now there's obviously going to be too much in there for this one, but if you do it over your next one, as you go around, it should catch it, and if it doesn't, give it a good old tap, get all around it. If you keep doing that with all of it, they'll look good. Tap it, get the excess off, and keep doing that. Okay, so we've got all the chocolate fondants moulds ready now. They can just sit on the side waiting. Double layer of butter in them, cocoa powder all around the edge. Hopefully none of them will stick. You might notice there's 10 there. There's 5 of us. I could have halved the recipe, but I'm greedy. These are brilliant because you can freeze them before they're baked. So we're going to use 5 tonight because there's 5 of us. The other 5 will go in the freezer and we'll have them another day. Right, the other ingredients we've got, I've got a bowl here with 4 eggs in, plus 4 egg yolks, and then 200 grams of caster sugar. I've got 200 grams of flour, those eggs are the spares, and I've got the 4 egg whites here. Don't need them for this recipe, so I'm going to put them in the fridge, and possibly tomorrow whisk them up, make some meringues or something like that. We're not going to go to waste. So you're probably going to be time-lapsed in a minute again, because I'm going to whisk this up, and this needs to be nice and light and fluffy. That's looking all right over there, so I take it. Ella, the videographer, will be on it. Is it all right? Shall I give it a stir, or? I know you've given it a stir. In fact, what I would possibly do now is just take that off for a little minute. Let me just get a tea towel. Turn the heat off. It's a bit warm, that. So I take it off the heat and just leave it on the side there. And that'll just melt down now because you've got enough heat into your butter and your butter and your chocolate now. So here we go. I'm going to whisk this up. This will take a little while. As I said to you before, if you've got one of these, if you've got a hand whisk, so much easier. But not everybody has, so I'm gonna suffer with you. That's all right. So here we go. Just get it going. So it just starts to soften the sugar. You're going to dissolve the sugar really in the eggs. That's what's going to happen. And we're going to whisk this up. Now you can see that that's the liquid form of it now. We'll time lapse away in a moment, and you'll watch me. And you'll come back, and I'll be redder than I probably have because I've been sat in the sun today for a bit.
Twisted into sugar, butter, covered pieces. Never mind what's underneath it. I have done it before. I'll bake me a dough to help make it through.
Okay, so you may have seen on the time lapse there. I've been whisking away for about 5 minutes. My arm was aching, it is aching. Even my lovely videographer behind the camera has had to go with it as well. You may also have noticed at some point that I put the pan that I'd warmed up the butter and chocolate just underneath it. It just helps to start getting a bit of the proteins basically start to cook out a touch. But what you don't want to do is to cook, or else you're going to end up with scrambled egg, very sweet scrambled egg. So I'm just warming it very slightly in there. That's all it was. So I've whisked it now. Can you see the difference? If you remember back about 5-10 minutes ago, how it was orange, how it was quite thick. It's now almost white, and you can see a little trail in it. You can go a bit more in it. It would be fine. It wouldn't hurt, but that's looking lovely. Now the next stage is to fold in your flour. So I don't need the whisk at this point. Some people will, some people can, some people do. But I've got 200 grams of plain flour. There's no raising agent in this one because we've whipped air into that. And I'm going to sieve this in because there aren't lumps in there. Now you can of course sieve this beforehand. You can sieve it into a bowl. You can sieve it onto some greaseproof paper. And then put it in. There we go. To one side. And I've got a spoon, again, another old spoon that we use. And all we're going to do, we're folding it in figures of 8 because we've done a brilliant job of getting air into there. The last thing we want to do now is really beat it hard and lose a lot of that air. You will to a point, but it's not a light sponge. It's not a Swiss roll, which this is pretty much like a Swiss roll style mix at this point. You wouldn't perhaps have as many egg yolks in it. You could bake that as a Swiss roll and that would be absolutely brilliant. And there you go, I've just folded all that flour and just make sure you get to the bottom of the bowl as well. And make sure that there's not a big lump of it in there like that. It's usually a sign. You'll just get that, a big lump in one of your puddings later on. So that's now ready for our chocolate and butter mix. Now we've obviously let that cool down now because we don't want that going in hot. Again, we don't want to cook the eggs. So we're going to put that in 3 stages. We're going to put a bit in, mix it in, put a little bit more in, mix it in, and then the final bit. And then that is the batter made, ready to go. Now you can, if you want to, of course, add any flavourings in at this point. So it could be like a chocolate orange style pudding or something like that. So you could grate some orange zest into it, add it to your mix right now, and then start mixing it in with your chocolate. I mean, if you like mint in it or whatever, doesn't matter, you can put it in. If you're liking something like a Black Forest style one, you could get some morello cherries and you can put them in the bottom of here and put them on, and that'll bake in as well beautifully. So, I'm going to put about 1/3 of it in. And again, you don't want to try and you want to try and keep as much air in it as possible, but a lot of it will go, and you will see this change now into. You don't want it streaky. It will start losing air naturally, but be gentle with it. Like I said, it's not a sponge, as we know, but didn't want to do that, did I? So right, just look at my fingers a sec. Okay, second, third, I'm just pouring in gently there. Sorry, can you see that? And you can see with my scraper, I'm just trying not to allow it to spill everywhere. And this will get darker and darker as we put the chocolate in. It's a bit indulgent, this, but it doesn't matter. It is Sylvia's birthday today, as I say, and we are being a little bit more indulgent today because we're on lockdown, we can't go out, and if I'm honest, we should right now, it's 6:30, be in Liverpool having a bite to eat because we were off to see the wonderful, amazing Paul Heaton and Jackie Abbott in concert tonight. Unfortunately, due to COVID, just like everywhere else, they've had to postpone it. And we are, Paul and Jackie, looking forward to seeing you in October at the new date. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So we can't wait for that. We're a bit gutted it's tonight, but we totally understand it. And that's life at the moment, isn't it? So we have decided that we're going to just splash out a bit and just have a little bit of a treat tonight. But we are with the other 3 people that we love most in the world, and that is our children. So Paul and Jackie, you're ace, but you do come second to the kids. Now then, have a look at that then, Ella. How does that look? So as you can see, it was up to about here before, and now we've knocked it out a bit, but that's looking good. And now we've got to get that from there into them. Now this recipe, it was on the back wall, I don't know if you've seen that. It is on Good Food. So if you look on www.goodfood.co.uk, I presume, and just type in chocolate fondant. It is a Gordon Ramsay recipe, or he has put it on there. So as you can tell, I don't smell like Gordon. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. You can, if you want, and the least messy way is to tip it out of here into a measuring jug, and then from your measuring jug tip it into each of your moulds, and you want them about 3/4 of the way up. Stop it and keep doing that all the way through. If you get any left over, hey, I hope these work. You right there, else?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. That wasn't very good, was it? Got a bit of flour in the bottom, so I am just going to mix it a bit. I just missed that with all that mixing. Tell you what, we might get more than 10 out of this. I'll come back to that in a minute with my scraper. I'm going to scrape it all out of here in a minute. Now, as I said the other day, my poor kids don't usually get to lick the bowls out because I usually scrape it all in. I'm surprised they're not lined up behind here now. So, got one mould to go in. Got some mix in here. Touch there. Now these chocolate fondants are what you'll see on a lot of the programs like MasterChef, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, they're really hard to make." They are hard to make. They're not easy. The hard bit was whisking up the flour. The sugar and the ice and sugar. The sugar and the ice and sugar. The sugar and the egg even. That takes a lot of arm power. You've got to do a lot of whisking. But the critical part is, well, 2 critical parts. Make sure your moulds are all lined properly with that butter, and then baking. You don't do it for any longer than 12 minutes. But what we're going to do with these now, put them in the fridge to rest, because we're going to go and have a drink, we're going to get our tea ready, and then when we come to pudding time, dessert time, wherever you live, we will show you what we do to bake them and then to serve them, and we will see whether they melt in the middle. See you in a bit. Okay, so we had 10 puddings earlier on. We've now got 5 puddings. We are ready to put them in the oven. We've had our main course. The birthday girl has been looked after so far. And we're going to see the birthday girl in a bit, maybe, if she's up for a bit. So, 180 degrees. Where are we? 180 degrees. If it's a fan oven. If it's not, 200 degrees. Don't need anything else. Just in a tin. Away we go. 12 minutes. That's all we need. 12 minutes, no more. So I'm going to put the timer on. I'd recommend you do that somewhere when you've got a watch. Because 12 minutes, otherwise you're going to overbake it and they're not going to be a melting chocolate pudding. See you in 12. Okay, 12 minutes in the oven. That's it, done. And they're out. Look at them. Looking gorgeous. I'm not even going to, I mean, you can try them, but they'll just be a bit crispy on the top. Turn that off because we don't need it anymore. And we'll take it over. And we're going to give these now, we're going to give them a minute just to rest up. So, some of us like a bit of ice cream on it. Some of us like a bit of double cream on it. So, we'll work out what that is. But we'll just give them a minute. Plates are ready. We're ready to go. Back in 30 or so seconds. Okay, so puddings, we've given them a minute now. We've got ice cream ready, we've got cream ready, we've got the plates ready. We're ready to go. Birthday girl is waiting for her pudding. So, these are hot. So, if you need to, please use something to warm them up. I'll trust them. So, just have a little play with it. Let it loose. And then tip it out to get the plate. Now then. That's on there now. That's looking beautiful. What I've got over here is a cup of hot water, ice cream. I've got a spoon in it. So the spoon's been in there, it's warmed up now. And all I'm going to do is just scoop a bit of ice cream on it. I'm sorry, we've had a bit of wine. I'm going to put that on top of it. And the birthday girl is allowed today a bit of cream on it as well. And then we're going to see whether there's any melting pudding in it. Very posh. Okay, so let's take her over to the birthday girl over here. Got your spoon, Sylvia.
Oh, how lovely.
So,
Thank you.
now, let's see whether there's a melting pudding in there. So can you just cut it open, please, Sylv, and see whether that will just...
Oh, look at that.
So there we have chocolate fondant, melting pudding for the birthday girl today. Gooey in the middle, baked on the outside, looking good.